Welcome to Revit 2019 Demo 43. For this lecture, we're going to discuss Revit phasing. For our final project, we won't be doing much of Revit phasing, but we're going to go over some of the items discussed of why you would use phasing and what the benefits are. We're also going to discuss some of copy monitor features. Copy monitor features are super valuable when you're linking in Revit models. I use them a lot in the mechanical and plumbing space. Generally, we're given a Revit model from an architect and we have to use a copy monitor to understand when things are being adjusted and moved. We've kind of discussed a little bit about purging in class, but I think I'm going to go over a little bit of that as well, just from what we've done throughout this course. And then a little bit of transferring project standards and understanding what that allows you to do. As well as kind of discussing some of the variables of how you can use it to steal from some of your other Revit projects and what benefits you get from there. And that's going to encompass the bulk of Demo 43. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to just kind of do a rough hash at this phasing section. So we're going to open up Revit Demo 40. And so from Revit Demo 40, we're going to go into Level 1. And in Level 1, this is where we had left off on some of our grouping, but we're going to discuss phases. So going in, Manage, Phases. Phases are set up so that if you're given an as-built condition of a home and you're doing a renovation, you can go in and create different phases to kind of phase the project to illustrate that construction timeline. So I'm going to set up a few. Currently, we have new construction and existing. And so what we want to do is we're going to create a couple. We have existing and new construction. Existing would be as built. So I would prefer that this was named as built. It could be existing. And then generally after that, there's a demo phase, so a demolition phase. And so you can describe what these phases are for. As built would be documentation of existing systems, and then your demolition would be demolition of existing home components. And then new construction would be renovated and reconstructed. Actually, we could just say newly constructed home elements or components. So essentially in an as-built phase, you're going to go out to the job site, you're going to kind of scan the existing conditions or lay out a tape measure. Then you're going to redraw that, come up with a new idea, and you want to show that new idea by demolishing the components that aren't necessary and then creating new construction components. So what happens is that's initially how you set up the phases. So we've done that. We need to also set up the phasing in the views. So currently what we have is we're going to apply this and hit OK. We have Level 1. Now Level 1 currently, even though we've drawn this as new construction, we could say that this is an existing building. So we could say Level 1 as built. And then, yes, it's going to rename everything. That's fine. It included the ceiling plan. We can duplicate the view with detailing, and we can rename this next Level 1 as demolition. So we can say Level 1 demolition. That's just the demolition plan. We can duplicate that view with detailing, and we can rename this as Level 1 new construction. And what this is ultimately going to allow us to do is see the as-built conditions, illustrate what's being demolished, and then illustrating where the new construction is. So let's just pretend that we're doing an add-on of this kitchen. So we're pushing this wall out and we're building an add-on and an extension of the dining room and the kitchen area. So this whole area here. So realistically, to do that, you would want to demo out a portion of this wall. You'd also want to demo out the doors and the windows that are associated to this wall and draw it in new construction. So we're going to do just that. We have our as-built plan finished. Now we want to go into demolition. Currently, this is set up in the phase of new construction. So one thing that's kind of troublesome is if I were to change this to as-built, it's not going to show anything. Well, the reason it's not showing anything is because all of the elements that are walls, windows, doors, we'll start with just doors, we'll check none, or just walls, hit apply. You'll notice that it's set that it was phased in new construction. Well, we can set that to be as-built walls, so those are as-built. Notice that it grays those out. The reason it's graying those out is because our phase is set to new construction. We want our phase to be set to as-built. So this is only going to show what was built in the as-built phase. So that's one thing that's going on, is it's starting to phase the construction of elements. So if I highlight this again, use my filter, check none, choose doors. I'm going to also try windows. I want to choose furniture, entourage, and we'll leave it at that for now. Notice that it says phase demolished, none, phase created, new construction. We're going to say as built. And the same thing's going to happen. Everything's going to gray out. I'm going to take a look at this, and I'm going to note that the furniture didn't gray out. So whatever this, I didn't associate furniture. So if I'm to select this element here, edit the group, and select all the furniture in there, and change the phase to as built and finish, now everything's created on that as-built phase. So if I change my as-built construction here now to as-built, it's going to show me everything on the as-built constructed phase. Now notice I lose the dimensions or the sections and the elevations and things like that. That's because these are also created on a specific phase. So these can also be associated. For now, I'm going to leave it. I think that just being in the as-built phase and leaving this on here is fine. Everything seems to work okay. If I go to demolition, now I can define what's being demolished. So now, before I do that, I want to make sure this is set to the demolition phase. When I change this to demolition, it's only going to show me what is associated to demolition. And then when I go to new construction, it's now set to new construction. But it's showing all phases. If I only wanted to show new, it's going to show me what all has been created on the new construction phase. So that's something very important to understand and to be aware of. And so what we're going to do is we're going to filter out the plan region and some of these items. And we're just going to kind of find, let's go to rooms. We'll set the rooms. Currently the rooms aren't set to the correct phase. They're set as new construction. That's fine for now. But we could technically delete these values out because they're going to be modified anyways. So we're going to just go ahead and delete our rooms that we had originally placed. So I'm just going through and deleting those. I'm not going to delete my sections, and I am going to specify that my sections were created on the existing phase because they're existing. So I'm going to change this to as built. And then I'll also set the reference planes if needed. They're not needed. We can go ahead and just delete these for now. They're not needed for now. And we'll go ahead and delete these generic annotations, and we'll delete the remaining rooms. So I'm just kind of clearing stuff up. So we've got our project cleared up. Our demolition plan has our north arrow. Our as-built plan is there. Demolition's grayed out. These are associated to phase filters. So if I go up to phases and I go into phase filters, it's going to show me what happened. So if I'm seeing a show all, that's going to show me these. Now I can't adjust the show all, but the show all is associated to these. So they have existing, demolished, new, temporary. So you'll see as you start to adjust these variables how it affects it. You can change what these are as well. So you can change overridden, not displayed, so on and so forth. We'll get into that a little bit more later, but for now let's go ahead and start assigning what we're going to demolish. So I'm going to hit SL, which is slice. And what slice is going to do is it's basically going to say, you know what, at this wall right about here, I'm going to slice it out. And I can align this wall to this wall, so I can bring it back to be right there, but it's going to join it again. So don't worry too much about where your slice plane is right now. I'm just going to slice it ballpark right about where I want it. And then I'm going to select the values of doors and windows that I want to demolish. And I'm also going to demolish out this wall because it's just not needed. So we're demolishing at that phase. And you notice that now I get these dashed walls. So it illustrates to the contractor what I want to demolish, what needs to go away, what's unnecessary. Now that's my demolition plan. I'm just showing what's being demoed. If I wanted to do a remodel in here and kind of show like a different bathroom or moving the door, I could say, hey, I want to demolish this here as well, and then we'll place a new door here. Now what we're going to do is now move to new construction, which isn't showing anything because we're only showing new. We want to show all. It's only going to show the existing that remains and not what we've demolished. So now what we can do is we can come in here and we can create a new wall, or we could create a similar wall, and that similar wall is being created on the phase of new construction because we're in new construction. So if I come in here, I want to make sure that I want to make sure that the crop view is not cropping, and I can continue drawing walls as needed. Now, if it doesn't show up, that means that I drew the wall on the wrong phase. So that's something to be aware of, is like what phase is that wall being drawn on. So if I go to new construction, it's showing all new construction. So let's try creating a similar wall here, drawing that wall across. View in 3D, there should be two walls now because we drew two walls. It's the height that I'm associating it to. So we had the same problem in class. When you right click a wall and create similar, it defaults the base offset to -10. You want that to be set to 0, but it's going to freak out and tell you that the top of the wall is lower than the base of the wall. So we'll reset the constraints. We'll change the top of the wall is set to 20 feet. If we set this to top constraint to level 2, hit apply, cancel, level 2, apply, top constraint is invalid for the level. I'm surprised that it's saying that, but let's hit 0 again. We got that same error. I just canceled out of it and didn't worry about it. Hit level 2, apply, top constraint is invalid for the level. So level 1 as built, we want this to be, that's correct, level 1 as built. Level 2, so we want to go level 1 as built. So let's go back and create the same wall, create similar. This needs to be set to level 1 as built. We'll set the height to level 2, apply. Top constraint is invalid for the level. I'm not sure why it's saying that. So let's set this to level 2. Top of the wall is lower than the base of the level. So this is your depth. Height is set, here we go. So we had this set to depth, we want this set to height. Default wall setting will be changed, that's fine. Now we've got what we're looking for. So this was set to depth, we want this on height. I believe that was changed when we drew our foundation plan. And so what we want to do is we'll just go ahead and start drawing, and now we can see our wall. So if I escape, right click, create similar, you'll notice that it's showing me all the new variables to that wall. So I don't want to draw on the wall center line. I want to draw on finish face interior. And that way I'm continuing from that same gypsum from the last. Now my crop region is showing it's cropping from there, so I don't want to crop the view. And that way it's not going to crop it as I'm drawing it. So I'm going to grab this endpoint here, and we're going to pull out, let's go 15 feet. Let's add a 15-foot addition to the home. And then I'm going to just align this interior wall to this finish face interior, and we're going to join these together. And what you'll notice is that it's not joining. And so what you can do is you can say disallow join, and then you can hit join. Now when it joins, it's because there's an existing wall there. So I just right clicked the snap, clicked on that snap point, and just said disallow join. If you allow the join, it's going to connect to the wall that's actually there. And you can see the error here. That's because of phasing. So if you disallow the join, it's now correct. Same thing here, disallow join. It should connect, but you're still going to have some graphical issues with the way that this connects. So just be mindful of that. For now, for this exercise, we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to kind of draw it as shown because this is new construction. So we're drawing in the new construction variables. If I view this in 3D, it's going to show me the new construction along with all the phases. So you can see the existing phase is grayed out. We can adjust that to show differently. We could say show complete. So complete is going to show us what the finished piece looks like. So we're going to go into our south elevation, and for the existing and remainder of the class, we had already deleted these, but I'm going to delete them again. So I'm going to come in here and hit filter. I don't want to select, I have everything selected that I want, so we'll hit delete. Let's just see what happens. It deleted that front wall with those garage doors just like it did last time. That's fine. We're going to go into level 1 as built, right click, create similar. Make sure that's set to height because we were having that issue in the beginning of this lecture. And we're just going to kind of close that wall off. We'll right click, create similar on doors, and we'll just drop down to garage. And I'm going to choose this door to be placed here and here, and those are ballpark. We did originally centerline them as shown here, so I could come in and add witness lines to the center of these doors. And then I could hit equal, and they'll be equal across. Or I could change the value from the door here. So I could say, okay, I want this one to be 7 feet, and I want this one to be 7 feet. It's not working for that one. That happens sometimes. Let's see where this one's at. 6 foot 10 1/4. 6 foot 10 1/4. And we'll go ahead and hit, that's good for now. That looks good. So we redrew in the wall with the garage doors. We now have our addition on in the back. We're going to redraw that roof in again. It's an as-built roof, which is fine. We're not obviously going to demo the entire roof, so we'll go ahead and just draw the existing roof for right now on level 2. So we'll just come in here and draw it kind of like we did last time, where we're just selecting walls. We'll trim this one to this one. We'll set slopes on all of these, including this front one. Define slopes. We'll do 9 to 12 is fine for now. View 3D. There's our roof. The walls didn't attach, so same thing. I'm just going to go in here, select all my walls. I can check my filter if I'm not seeing what I want. I have a model group selected accidentally, and now I know that I can attach. So as long as I have the wall set up correctly, that'll attach correctly. And now I'm starting to get a house. Attach. And now we'll just draw on the new roof addition, which technically will make that modification. So we'll go into level 1. We didn't demolish any part of the roof. So for this one, we'll just kind of go into level 2 again. Level 2 will show part of this roof. It's not showing the new construction below at this point, which is fine. Go to level 1 new construction. That's all in there. So now you're starting to see the difference between phasing. So phasing is really powerful. It's also very confusing at points in time, because what ends up happening is these values can be disjoined. You can adjust your phase filters to show different elements in different fashions. You can also adjust your demolished lines from your new lines to your existing lines. And this is what's going to control overall how things appear. Now I hit the materials, so I have the phase existing, phase demo, and phase new. So now you're having a pretty decent understanding of how, if somebody gave you or wanted to do a renovation project, how you'd begin to phase your project. So we're going to start continuing by creating some more of the new elements. I'm just going to create similar here, and I'll place it. And because I'm already in the correct model, it's going to place correctly. And then I can align these windows. And then I can throw in a door. I can throw in like a double entry door. So we had one originally that went in, but we'll do like 3 of them now. Actually, we'll do 2 of them. This could be our new kitchen, so we could delete a window and kind of have like a wrapped one or whatever you want to really do. But just understanding that now it's showing the new building. So then same thing, level 1 new construction, I'll put a new floor on it. And I can't see the other floor. That's because it's hidden. But now I can, so now I can see where that value is. So that tells me my floor is slightly off. So that, which is fine. We're just going to draw the new floor in. So I'm going to go from corners. And I'm just going to align to this edge each floor. So I'm just aligning. Super powerful tool because it stays in it. Hit finish. That was a wood floor. We're going to do the 5-inch concrete slab. Edit this boundary to align. We're just getting a display issue there, I think, on my graphics card or something. So that's why it's not showing up correctly. If I do a 3D view, it's drawn in there. Floors need to be turned on. So it's all drawn in. It's probably this wall that's kind of blocking it because it's joined. But really you'd update that same thing, but we're starting to get that addition in there. Level 2, I can't see any of the existing phase. So phase created of level 2, we could say as built. It's not showing me. Oops, I had something wrong selected there. But here under phase it's showing new construction. If I did as built, it's going to show me the as built. And then I can say show complete and change this to new construction. And then my view range is probably affecting some of that. So coming into the view range, just ensuring that we can see down below. I can now see the walls below. I did unlimited. You could just specify level 1 as built and then it's there. And then from here what we can do is we can actually create a new roof. So we can go roof by footprint and draw in where this new roof is going to go. These want to be at the right slopes. For now, what we can do is we'll go at a 45. And we'll go at a 45. And I'm just going to trim these two lines together for now, just to see what happens here. This is set base offset -1 foot. We can adjust and align eaves later. We're going to slope these two values. Finish. It wasn't fully trimmed, so we'll just make sure that's trimmed. Then if I view this in 3D, that's too high. So I can adjust this slope to be lower, just for now. And then I can join these elements. One other thing I could do is I can actually edit the footprint and start aligning things in 3D here. It becomes a little bit more difficult. Another thing I could do is create model lines and reference the model lines to align those. I'm not going to do that for the sake of this lecture. I just kind of want to get the basic idea of phasing across. So we're quickly just modeling using these walls. Oops. You want to make sure that you select the roof and not white space. It's fine, we'll unjoin those for now. It seems to be having an issue with the connection of this. So we can change this to unconnected and then attach, and let's see what happens. Nothing. So from your elevations, you can kind of lower these down. There's still something showing up here. I think these are, oh, it's a floor from one that I forgot to delete, so that's deleted now. We can right click on these walls and select all instances visible in view. Select all instances visible in view. Filter walls. I'm not sure why it's not allowing me to attach. It should allow me to attach. We can try joining. It's not what I wanted to do. So we will make sure, selecting one at a time, you can go through and attach these walls to the roof. And that way they're not hanging out in space. The best way to do this would be to actually cut sections and make sure it's being associated correctly. Notice that that point's coming through, so we can edit the footprint. See how this line is now projected? You can select this line now. So see how it drew those? So what I did is I edited the footprint of the new roof. It shows me the cut planes, and I hit pick lines, and I'm picking the lines there and deleting these lines here, and then trimming and hitting finish. And now it's going to allow me to attach because things are in the correct location. So same thing with this, we want to attach this to this. And then we can align eaves, but what we'll do before we align those, what we can do is we can align by tab selecting or going to a south elevation even, or a west or east elevation. Let's go into this elevation here, and we can kind of see the new line is not aligned up, so we can align this to this, and now the roof's aligned. If we view it in 3D, cut plane looks good, roof's lined up, everything's drawn, we've done our addition. All right, so you'll notice in the front of the house that this floor is a little bit extended, so we'll go ahead and edit this boundary. We're going to go into level 1 as built, and we're going to align to this front stud here, this element. Front stud, not back stud. And we'll hit finish. And now we'll notice that when we view it in 3D, everything's kind of nice and in space and looks good. And we'll also notice that, you know, we haven't continued this foundation wall, but what we could do is we could slice this and kind of do the same thing. We're not going to for this lecture. What we're going to continue discussing is copy monitor. So copy monitor is going to be under your collaborate tab, and we have this button here called copy monitor. So you can use the current project or select the link. One way to describe this is that copy creates a duplicate of the selected element in the current project and monitors it to a selected element in the linked model or current project. Monitor compares two elements of the same type against each other, either from a linked model to the current project or within a current project. One way to look at the copy monitor system is to track all of the changes to levels, grids, columns, walls, and floors. So this is very powerful if we're focused on a mechanical, electrical, and plumbing model, because what ends up happening is the architect will send this file. So what they'll do is you'll save this file. We'll do a file save as project. This demo is revit2019demo43, and we'll create a new project. And what we're going to do is we're going to go File, New, Project, and we're going to create a mechanical template. And from the mechanical template, what we're going to do is we're going to notice that we have HVAC and plumbing. And so all of my modeled elements would be associated to the discipline of mechanical, and all of my modeled elements of plumbing would be associated to plumbing. Now the reason for understanding this is that what we want to do is we want to insert a link because the architect sent me his demo 43 model. And so what ends up happening, I have it open at this point in time, so you want to make sure you're completely closed out of that project. We've already saved it. So that's completely closed. We can now link in demo 43. So we're going to open that up, and it's linked in. The host model and the link do not share the same coordinate system. Default center to center positioning will be used. That's fine for now. We'll go ahead and keep that. That's not a big deal. And what we'll want to do is we'll want to copy monitor elements. Now, I don't have grid lines drawn in here. So what I can do is I can close out of the mechanical project, but what we're going to do is save this as Revit. Actually, we'll save this as mechanical example, mech example, save. And we'll close this, open up demo 43, go into level 1 as built, and I'm going to show you how to draw a grid system real quickly. So we're going to go into architecture grid, and we're just going to draw from the corner of framing or center of framing, however you want to do it. I'm going to ballpark it here. I believe you can align edge to grid, so those are lined up. So I've got that initial grid line 1 in. And so I want to create an entire grid system. So everything across the top is going to be starting from 1 here. Now I'm going to draw another grid line, so create similar. And I'm going to draw it from ballpark here. And incrementally counted to 2. Now the problem is, conventionally, depending on how you have it set up, the architect will either draw A through Z, 1 through whatever, or it varies by project to project. So what we're going to do is kind of create our own grid system here. So we're starting from this top back left corner. We're going to call this A. So everything across the top is A. And this is going to be grid line 1. That means at A1, that's the back left corner. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to incrementally copy these every structural length that's necessary. So I could say, okay, I want this to be at, say, 12 feet increments. We'll do 10 feet increments. Now notice it still went to 2. That's fine. We're just going to keep going 10-foot increments and just get this kind of on a grid. And we're just going 10 feet, 10 feet. Now the problem is nothing's intersecting these points. So that's kind of a problem. So what we could do is we could align our grid lines to the structure. So I'm just going to align that grid line there, that grid line there, and we'll just align this grid line here. And I'm just going to the face of that wall structure. I hit the wrong button there. We'll do another grid line. So we can just copy this one. And I can copy from here to SE to snap endpoint. We'll just go to here. It doesn't really matter right now. We'll align this down. And that's good. We'll go in and name these B. Now, had I drawn it as A first, it would incrementally continue. It can do that. Let's see if it works on this one. No. So it's thinking that the letters are on the left. But notice it went E to F. So if I change this to 2, and then I align to structure. Oops, I aligned the section. Be careful not to do that. So we're going to align to the grid. And we're going to copy this 2 more times. So here could actually go 3 more times. Let's do that. Just because that back garage wall isn't quite there. We'll kind of snap that into place. This one's wrong, so I'm just going to recopy it. And then I'm going to hit align. Notice it went up to 6, so it's maintaining that mark value. I don't really want that to do that, but we'll let it do it for now. Continue on. And then number 6, inside framing. We probably want to go to outside on this one just because we're at the end. And then I can actually break this and have it kind of below. And then I can also select these and turn the grid lines. If I right click, select all instances and entire project. Doesn't work. You have to do it one by one, but you're just going to go through and check these. Same thing, just break this, have it fall down below so you can read it. Grid line on. I'm just turning on all the grid lines, grid bubbles. So A, B, C, D, E, 1, 2, 3, 4. This should be 5. Updates didn't update. Let's try it again. 5. Numlocks was off. There we go. Everything's gridded out. That means at E3 or C3, that's the start of the wall. So that's why we have the grid marks. And we're going to save this. Now this is saved. It's demo 43. We're going to close out of demo 43, go back to our mechanical example that we saved. And what we'll notice is the grid lines are showing up now. And what's important about this is now I know where the architects place those grid lines. I have the control to adjust and manage some of this information. The reason why things are showing up a little funky right now is because of our crop region generally. So it's not the case right now, but we'll get to that in a minute. But currently, it could also be our scale. So if I change that to 1/4 inch, that helped kind of clear it up a little bit, but not quite. Now, what we want to do is we want to start copy monitoring. So to do this, we're in this mechanical template file. We've brought in the architectural model. We now want to start monitoring the link. So we're going to come up here to the Manage tab. Sorry, the Collaborate tab. we're going to copy monitor, and we're going to select a link because we have a link in here. We're going to select this link. Now we can copy elements such as the grid lines, which is what you want to do. So you can go in and copy all of these grid lines. Now for your final project, you won't be doing this, but it's important to know this for a firm environment because when you enter the firm's going to want, if you're in a mechanical setting, you're going to want to know where these variables are. And what they do is they allow you to keep track of changes. So we've done that, and now we're going to monitor number 1. So we did that. You can also do a batch copy as well. So it copies fixtures that have not yet been copied from the linked model into the current project. But for now, we'll go ahead and do that as finish. And you'll notice when you select it, there's a link in there. And so it's actually monitoring currently. So if I reopen, so if I save this mechanical example, go back to demo 43. Yes, we're going back and forth, but this is to illustrate the point. In let's say grid line 3, right? Let's say we bumped that 5 feet north. So let's just move it 5 feet up. 5 feet. So we moved that grid line. Architect moved the grid line, saved it, sent us a new model. We're working in our mechanical program. Instance of link needs coordination review. And what we'll do is we'll go into collaborate, copy monitor, select the link. Coordination settings. Nope, we want to monitor. So grid line 3 moved. So if we select this, it said coordination review. So what we can do is we hit copy monitor again. We actually want to hit coordination review. So we want to select the link. So that was my bad. Don't hit copy monitor, hit coordination review. Select the link again. And it's going to tell you right here that the grid moved. Grid 3 moved and postponed or rejected. And we can hit apply. We can kind of see what's going on. We can show it. So it shows where it moved. Hit apply, hit OK. And now it moves grid line 3. So that tells me that this is no longer connected to the correct location. So can I align grid line 3 to 3? Yes, I can. And it's still going to monitor it. So that gives me a heads up that something in the architect's model has moved. And now I don't see it because we're all good. It's all in the right location. So that's the power behind copy and monitoring. So if the architect was to move a grid line and you were working on a plumbing project, or you were working on a structural project or something that involved an addition to this project, you can monitor those values to understand what is being changed. So that's important to understand. So for the course of this lecture, we're going to apply we're going to look at a few other things. We're going to save this currently. So we now understand kind of how these grid lines are moving. We understand that we can go into coordination review, select a link, and see that there might be something in there. Let's test this one more time, so we'll close it. Yes, we want to save our changes because we moved grid line 3. We'll go back into demo 43, which is the architect's model. We'll move this, we'll move a C line. Let's move D line. So if I move D line to 5 or 3 feet, I can copy monitor walls, doors, windows, all sorts of things. But if I move this line and I receive this from the architect, so I'm going to hit save, open up my mechanical example because I relinked that in. Instance of a link needs coordination review. Okay, something's wrong. It's monitoring it. It's giving me the heads up. So when I go into collaborate and I go into coordination review, select the link, grid moved. Well, grid D moved. Show. So I want to show what moved. Oh, okay, it moved there. Well, that's weird because that must be an error on the architect's part. So from there, what I could do is I could say accept difference, or I could reject or postpone, or I can modify grid D. Hit apply, it's going to pull it over, and now we're in good shape. So that is the power behind copy and monitor. You could do this for toilets, you could do this for windows, you could do this for walls, you could do this for doors. You can do it for a lot of things. And it's very powerful when you're dealing with linked models because it allows you to keep track of changes from architects. So for now, we're going to go ahead and continue to save this as mechanical example, and we'll close out, and I will see you in the next lecture.